Hey, I've just started the recording, and I do, want to make sure that you guys don't let that keep you from asking questions. Please do ask questions. The recording is only shared with participants. Once again, Delane, Erlen, and John, you're the only ones here so far. We may have some other folks that come in, but I do want to make sure that you guys have this recorded. Um, it, I don't know if that other recording that I was promised you guys ever went to you guys. It shows a sent in my sent box, but can somebody raise their hand if they actually received it? Uh-oh, I don't see any. Oh, Delane's hand went up for a second. Delane, I'm going to try opening up your microphone real quick. Delane, did you receive that recording?
I think you did two recordings, and I think I received one, but not both.
Okay,
Um,
I think I only sent one. I think I tried to
oh,
record the second session, but we called the day early on that one,
oh,
so
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so I didn't send the second one, but if you received the first one, that's great. If the rest of you, if you did not receive that for some reason, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and close your microphone, Delane, real quick. I've got a question from John here. Oh, you received yours. Fantastic, John. Thank you. So we are recording this one as well, and so we'll make sure that you guys all get that. I don't know exactly the whole of how you're able to access those afterwards if I don't send you the link, but I will get you that link later today. So during class, you can raise your hand or type a question in the question box. Everybody seems to be doing that pretty well. Also, you're able to contact me at any time. My name again, John Friedman. I'm one of your peers. I work for Kauai Realty on the island of Kauai, and I have been teaching these classes for over a dozen years. I think it's like 14 now, but I don't want to say that without double checking. It's been a while. There are a couple ways to get a hold of me. If you have a question specific to what I'm teaching in class, you can contact me at mkr@mykauairealty.com. That is a shared email with me and my business partner, pictured up there in the upper left-hand corner, Kristen Zimmerman. So please put something in the subject line or within the body of the email, question about MLS class, a question about something you taught, so that she doesn't respond to you. If you just type something like, please call me, Kristen may call you, and she may not have a clue what you're talking about. Also, you're always welcome to give me a call on my cellular telephone number, 808-651-1276, 808-651-1276. I religiously don't answer it when I'm with clients or customers. And so I do pick it up during class, believe it or not, because if you guys have a horrible issue during class, please feel free to contact me right away via cell phone, 651-1276. If I'm not responding to your questions or your hand going up. Sometimes I get cut off and I just don't know it. By the way, I just plugged in my phone. That's what all that noise was. I apologize. And so, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Just realize that I am in the practice and I do allow that to take priority. Let's see, I've got a hand up here. Hold on one second. Delane, I'm going to open up your microphone. Did you have a question, Delane?
Yeah, actually, I just checked my folders and realized that, or my training folders, and realized that I did not receive the link to the
Oh, you
recording.
did not receive it. Okay,
No.
so I'll make sure that I get that sent off again today along with this one. I'm
Thank
just going to amend the email that I thought I sent it. I may be in my draft box. It gave me a lot of problems last time, so I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to wait until we're done with
That's fine.
class, and then we'll get them both off to you. And I've got the same group of people, so it should be good to go. I've muted your mic and put your hand down once again, Delane, but thank you very much, and we'll make sure that you guys get that so you can review it. I like to start each day with a quick tip. So remember that from the dashboard, let me just see if I can get to the dashboard here. From the dashboard, in the upper left-hand corner, should be your picture. If you don't have a picture uploaded, your name will be here. You can simply click on this area and then go to My Profile. My quick tip for the day is social networking, love it or hate it. I happen to be one of those people who hates it, but love it or hate it, is becoming a major part of our business. And so one of the things that you can do is make sure that all of your emails are sent with information that's direct to you. You'll see here that what I include is the internet contact methods. This box needs to be filled out. Absolutely must be filled out. The reason for that is that this is the place where Zillow, Trulia, and other strategic partners of ours, Realtor.com, amongst many, many, many others. I think we've got 45 different companies that we syndicate to. That this is where they pull that information. If you have a listing in the system and you don't have this internet contact methods filled out, then people will see your name, but they may not have a way to contact you. And so it'll go to another buyer, to another agent to be the buyer's representation. So please make sure your internet contact methods is filled out. My general rule of thumb, or the way I operate, is that I don't overload this box. You can see here I've got my email address, I've got my web address, and I've got my phone number. And that's all I've got in there. If you want to have more, I could put my company website. There's all kinds of stuff I could put in there, but I find that just making sure that they have the most direct contact information available is the best for me. So make sure that that's filled out. Additionally, if you're doing a blog, here I'm doing my blog. Here I've got my business Facebook page. This is a personal call for all of you guys. I do not use my personal Facebook page for my clients. I use a Facebook business page. That, of course, is up to all of you whether or not you want to do that or not. I've got some crazy, crazy cousins, and they post inappropriate stuff sometimes. And so, as much as I love them, I cringe sometimes when I read what they posted on Facebook. So I have a lot more control in my business page of controlling what people see. And so I use a business page. A live journal I don't use. I probably should. You'll notice there's delicious up here. This has gone the way of the dinosaurs. I wouldn't suggest you do everything on this list. I would do those ones that you're using. LinkedIn, I do have my LinkedIn account, although I've been thinking about removing it. And once again, this is something that is going to be a personal decision on for each of you. When you put your LinkedIn account, you're going to find that most of your people are going to go in, look at your LinkedIn account, and they're going to see lots of other realtors blogging and doing stuff on LinkedIn, and you may lose a client that way. So far I've left my stuff on LinkedIn, but that's up to you whether or not you utilize that or not. And as I said, I'm considering removing it, but right now I have 4 specific areas that I use. There are some things that should be on this list that aren't, and I need to talk to them a little bit more about that. There's no Instagram, there's no Pinterest. I've got great I'm not sure I pronounced that right, but I've got great Pinterest photos of Kauai that might be fun for somebody that has links to Fedoras or one of the other tourist publications for people who are coming over here to visit. So I'd love to get my Pinterest up here and my Instagram accounts up here, but right now I'm using my my blog, my Facebook account, my LinkedIn account, and my Twitter account. And so at the bottom of all of my information, when I send an email, those 4 icons appear, and they can click through to those. Very, very valuable. As well as having my internet contact information, the most important thing that you can do, filled out. So make sure you get that filled out. That's my quick tip for the day. Any questions about any of that stuff? And I will call them again today, talk to them. I've been asking them to change this. I'd love to see the delicious removed and kind of a more open platform to put links to things that may become fads in the future that we just don't know about. Today's class, we're going to take a look at the syllabus here. Once again, for those of you that are wondering which class should I take and how do I know, simply go down to the training module, right? Training. And here you see the list of training. We do have, by the way, a tentative January schedule. I will be teaching Fridays again. This is an unusual class for me to teach on a Thursday. Today we're teaching zipForms roster downloading and downloading. I'm going to go to the class resources here button up in the upper left of that particular screen. Let me go ahead and toggle this thing off here. Get my arrow over in the right place. And within the class resources, there's a couple of really important things for you guys. One is when you have time, check out this keyword document. It's a very, very old document. I've started updating it several times, and then things change so quick within the system that I've just never finished it. I got to get that done, hopefully by the end of 2016. But it's an old document, but it has great information. People don't know what they're looking at when they look at the public record. They think they understand it, but there's tons of information here. It varies from keywords and symbols and codes and tenure codes to zoning on the different islands. Of particular interest are mortgage codes, tenure codes, PIT codes, which have changed now on the island of Kauai, and keywords and symbols. This is kind of a quick way to look at things. There is something that I do need to point out to you, and that is that on some of these things where it says drop, remove a field from a search request, you'll see here it says text RE only. The text RE system is gone. So if it says text RE only, it's not an available Boolean indicator, but you can put almost any of these here, right? Exclude a specific field, you can write the word no, like no condos, no government, no owner occupied, no owner vacant land, using one of the fields. You can use the to or, right? Tax key 1-2 to 4, right, to cover a range of tax map keys. You can use the word or, PIT code 100 or 200, beds 3 or 4. Okay, so all of this information is important. For those of you that took my advanced search techniques class, you know that of particular interest to me, and probably the area I use the most is the wild card, the asterisk sign. It's the shift numeral 8 key with the shift button held down. Always use an asterisk liberally, very liberally, before, after, and sometimes in the middle of a phrase. If we were looking for property designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, I would put Frank asterisk L asterisk Wright asterisk, and that way any of those words will appear, or any, if somebody said, Frank L. Wright, Frank Lloyd Wright designed home, that would appear. So the question mark, of course, you can substitute for a single character. So, if you don't know if the person's name is Smith or Smoth, S-M-O-T-H, you can put the asterisk in there. So that's only the question mark, that only substitutes for a single character. I would tend to use the asterisk sign because that would cover more than a single character, but occasionally the question mark comes in very handy. Okay, so the keywords and symbols are there. The special functions all gone, right? Text research only. Don't even bother looking at those. Mortgage codes, right? Know the difference between a Hula May and a purchase money mortgage. VA financing is not there, but it should be. That's actually included now. By the way, Hula May, low interest, state of Hawaii, guaranteed loan. Once again, no PMI, private mortgage insurance, and so it's a very positive way to go. For those of you that are wondering about Hula May loans, they are designed for our local people to get into homes. The money disappears quickly. Usually becomes available in January and July, middle of each month. You're going to want to watch Hula Mays and the availability of Hula Mays so that you can get your clients a low interest loan for Hawaii residents. You must be a Hawaii resident. Tenure codes, people always make a mistake. Hey, there's 2 tenures, fee simple and leasehold. That is incorrect, right? You have agreement of sale codes, government-owned codes, lease from federal government, state and multi-claimed owned, and remaindermen. Just as a quick tip, if you see an M or an R, right, after the deed, right, the red flag should be going up. Doesn't mean there's a problem, but when you have a state or multi-claimed owned property or a remainderman property, a remainderman property is where somebody has a life estate that will revert back to the remainderman, right? So if somebody has a life estate, you need to know whether that person is still living. Can you buy the remainder interest in the property? Absolutely. But remember that the remainderman will always have the right, the life estatee will have a right to remain in that property until their death, right? And it's very difficult to sell that type of property. It does have a very valid and valuable place in property. Instrument codes, this is huge. You know, maybe you're going down and you see COMMAL. What the heck is that? That's a commissioner's assignment of lease, right? So these descriptions become very, very important. What is an ASL? When you see ASL, that was the assignment of a sublease. Okay, so when you see something on a deed or the public record document, not on a deed, but on the public record document that you don't understand, remember that this keywords document is there. Lastly, a quick word about PIT codes. PIT, believe it or not, stands for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was the first area in the country to codify highest and best use. A PIT code is a highest and best use of property, and it's used for purposes of tax assessment, okay? This is very, very important on Kauai. We'll look at these. Sometimes you'll see where things are actually PIT coded for vacation rental use on the island of Kauai. A lot of agents here make the mistake and say, hey, that's a legal vacation rental. That is incorrect. The County of Kauai is using it strictly as a tax classification. In other words, it could be a completely illegal vacation rental, but because it's being used as one, they're taxing it as one. That does not make it a legal use, just means that they're paying taxes as a vacation rental. So be careful with PIT codes and know what they mean. In the old days, and still somewhat today, you would sometimes find a 100 PIT code on agricultural property, right? So what that meant was that the property had somewhere in a general plan or other document produced by a county, somebody said, hey, eventually this is going to be improved residential property. If you had property that was zoned agricultural but had a PIT code of 100, improved residential lot, right, or an unimproved residential lot, that gave you some indication that, hey, there's a good possibility I could get this upzoned from agricultural to single family residential lease zone property, R2 through R6. That is an important thing to know. Now, if you had a piece of agricultural property that was zoned, that was PIT coded 500, then there had been a determination made by the county that the agricultural use of that property was the best use. Means that being able to subdivide that property or to have it upzoned into residential property would be more unlikely than likely. So PIT codes, as I said, being used differently across the different counties. It is an autofill field for us that comes from the county. And once again, Kauai is using a tax classification only system. They are literally saying use for the purposes of tax assessment only. They're not using the highest and best use, okay? Here we get into different zoning codes. We all sometimes wonder about things. You know, maybe you've got a client who wants to trade a piece of Big Island property, A3A. You don't know what that means. On Kauai, we have no such zoning, but this means 1 home per 3 acres. Agricultural property, 1 home per 3 acres, right? A5A, 1 home per 5 acres. So I don't know Hawaii Island zoning codes. This is why I refer all of my Big Island business to a Big Island agent. I mean, if you're a Big Island agent and you'd like to see some referrals, I'm more than happy to refer them to you when I get them. Not frequently, by the way, so don't hold your breath, but I do get them on occasion. I just would not pretend to know Big Island zoning. We are licensed to sell property anywhere in the state. Excuse me. Hopefully I got my hand over the mic quick enough there, and I never sneeze just once or twice. It's always 3 times, so there will be another one coming somewhere down the road here. I apologize. But you know, as we look at these, maybe I've got a client who wants to trade property, and my client calls me up and says, hey John, I see that this guy wants to trade some, you know, RM 1.25 property. What the heck is that? Well, that's a Big Island code for a multifamily dwelling with 1,250 square feet per unit. And so it gives me greater information if I need to talk to him about that. Have I ever sold Big Island property? I did once, and after that, I decided that it was better to definitely send them out to people. Kauai zoning I'm very familiar with, but there's lots and lots of it, right? of particular interest are all those special treatment areas. You want to be real careful about anything that's special treatment, whether it's cultural, scenic, cultural, public property, or ecologically protected. Very, very important to see. Okay, we do see a lot of residential property that's zoned from R2, which they don't have here, but zoned from R2 all the way up to R15. And then, of course, the RR zoning indicates resort zoning. Okay, so a lot of great information. Maui zoning, much simpler, by the way. And then land use codes. The state land use codes are primarily used on Oahu. There are land SLUDs, or state land use designations, throughout the island. When you guys have time, just Google Hawaii SLUD or Hawaii state land use designations. They've got great maps. I actually keep those maps around. Remember that state land use is very different than what the federal government considers particular islands. An example of that, for the purposes of the United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development loans, very, very good loan program. Once again, a government guaranteed loan program. No PMI, allows people to buy property with little or no down payment, and very low interest rates, and offers 38-year mortgages for primary residences. The state land use code would separate Kauai into a number of different areas, including urban and agricultural, urban and rural property. However, the federal government considers the entire island of Kauai rural, which means USDA loans are valid for any property on the island of Kauai. So remember that there are differences. These are state land use information, not federal government. Residential building details. When you look at a public record and you see, oh, we got an OPCPT WDFL, that's an open carport with a wood floor. Now, when you go up to the house, you find a slab, and you find an extra bathroom and a master bedroom there, but the public record from the tax office shows it as an open carport with a wooden floor. This may indicate, I'm not going to say it guarantees, but it may indicate that building permits were not pulled for the improvements that they made. So once again, when you're looking at residential building details within the public record, you want to make sure you look at that. That's my quick tips for the day. And so let's go ahead and click on back to, I was going to go get the training manual. Excuse me here. Let me go back here and make sure I've got the training manual. Close out the keywords here. Remember, class resources, there's keywords are there. There's some quick tutorials here also, but class curriculum, and that's been downloaded now, and so I'm going to go ahead and open that, and we'll look at today's class. It is a packed class today, you guys. It's why it's scheduled for a full 2 hours and not an hour and a half, but we'll try and get through this and be out of here by 11:30. Let's go on down to the zipForms roster download. Let's see if this works here. Nope. Not working. Number 5. Sometimes I find all the things I got to do in a day here. Okay, so here's zipForms roster download and downloading. We're going to go through a couple of quick things. We're going to talk about first of all the prerequisites for downloading. You should have taken all of these classes. If you haven't taken them all, we're going to force our way through it anyway. If you have questions, I have a small class today. Let's see if we still got this. We've had Samar join us. Samar, we are being recorded, and I will be sending this recording to all of you later in the day today. If you haven't taken all of these classes and you're confused by something, just it's a small class. I've got 4 of you guys here. Just raise your hand or type a question in the question box. I'll try to get it. This course covers zipForms. Not really. I'm going to talk a little bit about zipForms. Mostly what I'm going to talk about is getting signed on. If you have never used zipForms but would like to start, write down one of these 2 numbers and give them a call. Make sure that your account is up to par at Hawaii Association of Realtors. Most importantly, remember that your user ID and password are case sensitive within zipForms and MLS Connect. So you have to be very careful here. you have to use cap letters on your TMK. I know that we are not case sensitive in our sign-in. Most of us just type TMK and our license number in lowercase letters. You can't do that within MLS Connect, and we'll talk about that in a second. I am not going to teach what to put in zipForms. I'm just simply going to teach you a couple of neat tricks to save you time and kind of give you a quick overview of the system. We're then going to talk about the roster download. For those of you that have seen people sending out email blasts, hey, I got a great piece of property, 10.8 acres, zoned R2. We're going to talk about how do you do that. We'll also talk a little bit about the CAN-SPAM Act. The CAN-SPAM Act is a requirement that you have an opt-out or unsubscribe link on all of your blast emails that are going to people that you do not have a business relationship with. I'm stressing that because you really don't have to put an opt-out list on your email blast to other realtors, because you have, by definition, a business relationship with all the other realtors. I mean, that's the definition of an MLS, a cooperative working relationship with them. And since you both belong to the MLS, the same MLS, it's not really necessary. However, if you start sending email marketing pieces using some of the techniques I teach you today to clients, you must have that opt-out or unsubscribe link on all of your email blasts. I'll show you how to do that real quickly. However, you will need to maintain your own list of those people that opt out. If you use a third-party piece of software, like Constant Contact is an example that comes to mind. I don't use them, but if you use one, they will maintain that list of opt-outs for you, okay? And then this training on Gmail and Yahoo, etc., I am not going to do, but I will tell you that if you're looking to download into something other than Microsoft Outlook, the system is basically the same. And it is a little bit daunting, so I will show you how to get to a tutorial on that before we leave class today. And then lastly, your downloads. This is probably what most of you are here for. We will do a quick spreadsheet and we'll show you how to download that, okay? The very last thing on the syllabus is covering bregs and PVL searching. I do not cover that in this class. I cover it in another class that I have. So you can pretty much, if you have questions about business registration or PVL searching, feel free to ask, but I typically do not cover it in today's class. Any questions from any of you? That was a lot. Sorry, I'm talking a million miles an hour too. Everybody doing okay? Delane, Orlin, John, Samar? Let's go ahead and we're just going to flip on back to, Delane's got a question here. Go ahead, Delane. Did you have a question?
Sorry, I was just going to type in good here. I just wasn't fast enough.
Okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and mute your microphone again. Yeah, thank you very, very much. I'm glad everybody can hear me all right. I am teaching from home today, so hopefully this will be a lot better and easier to deal with. I'm going to go ahead and start with some talk about zipForms. To access zipForms, you will go from your dashboard page on the lower left-hand side. You're going to go into your Listings tab, and you're simply going to go down to where it says zipForms and click on zipForms. Most of you have probably done this, but if you haven't, if you don't have a password or a username, you need to contact one of those two numbers I gave you earlier, or you can just call the Hawaii Association of Realtors and tell them, hey, I need to be hooked up with zipForms. There are a couple things you should note. zipForms now has a brand new TMS. TMS stands for Transaction Management System. I use a third-party piece of software for my transaction management. I have not tried this new zipForms transaction management service. I need to get in and look at it. I might be able to drop my third-party software if it has the features that I'm looking for. I haven't looked at it, but for those of you that are new in the business and are looking for a good transaction management software, you might want to take a look at it because it's free, and so that's a big plus. Transaction management for me and my third-party software allows me to maintain online document library for every transaction involved in a that I have going, and it allows me to take the parties to that transaction and issue them permission to access those documents on a document-by-document basis. So, for example, the buyer's pre-qualification letter might be made viewable by both the buyer and the seller, right? However, a document like a seller's wiring account numbers might be available only to the seller and not available to the buyer to look at, right? Or I might make it available to escrow and the seller, but not to the buyer, because it's not the buyer's information where that person keeps their money. Okay, so you might look at transaction management. It's also a great way to keep you reminded of areas that time frames and other things. So as we go into zipForms here, let me make sure I get signed in here. I'm just going to sign in. By the way, I am signing in today. It'll show Kristen because she does most of our zipForms work. Okay, here I've got a test one that I just opened up today. I need to get a form. When you first open up zipForms, you will not have, remember that the password is case sensitive. You will notice here that when you first sign on, there's a number of things that you should note. The first is that we have the ability to list transactions by a selected order. Most of us are going to keep them by dates. You also have two different, well, you can actually sign electronically for free using digital ink. I'm not real knowledgeable with digital ink. I actually use DocuSign for my transactions, but do know that if you don't want to spend the money, or if your company has not spent the money to have you on DocuSign, there is a free system here called digital ink. Additionally, this is a button that will take you to learn more about their transaction management system. Here we've got Zip Consult, which I've never used, so I can't really speak to it. And then, of course, here we also have Launch Relay. I did use Relay for a long time. It was a kind of a CRM, transaction management system combination. I found that other realtors wouldn't use it, so I've moved away from it. That may not be the case anymore. You may have more realtors that are actually using Relay, but you do have some things available to you there. I just want to make you aware of that. The next line across the board here deals with the transactions, your dashboard, templates, tasks, contacts, and partners. If you're looking for a third-party piece of software, you can look at a number of different things. There's BombBomb, great to make simple videos. There's a number, DocuSign, which I use for electronic signatures. You can look at people that have integrated their system with zipForms. Okay, Top Producer. I do not use Top Producer as a CRM, but they do it. For those of you guys that don't know about TaxBot, go get it. It is right now is a great time to go get it. TaxBot is a online repository for all your receipts associated with your taxes, including a mileage tracker. It's a phenomenal system. I would encourage all of you to get it. I just use TaxBot, and when it comes to this time of year, I just hand over my TaxBot file to my CPA, and my taxes are done. Very, very, very simple, okay, including all of my exemptions. So very, very good, okay. Here's a Zip Your Flyer. This is a new one. I haven't seen this. Right? Nationwide provider of email flyers and print flyers. I haven't looked at that, but something I'll probably go in and take a look at. Lots of good information here with partners. Please remember the help button. I am not a zipForm trainer. There is training and education and how-to videos. Right? You can do live training at any time with zipForms. You just click on here and it says, hey, here's the live training and when it's going to occur. And you can just, this shows you the states in which they're centering. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't really matter what state you take it, right? If you're not a zipForms user yet, just go up here and click for a live interactive demonstration, and it'll give you the lowdown on how to use the system much better than I can. Okay. I'm going to go back to the transactions. Please remember that when you see the transaction list here, this is my transaction list, when you first start the system, you're not going to have anything there. You're going to have a blank page, okay? In order to start a transaction, you're simply going to go up and just click the New button. Okay. In this case, I'm going to do a purchase contract, and let's see what we've got over here. Let's go to the dashboard page here, see what we got on today's thing. Here's a Nihikai Villas number 603 on the market for 548, right? I'm going to actually, if you watch what I'm doing here, I'm going to click on the MLS here real quickly. And then I'm going to steal this MLS number by simply clicking and pasting, copying, and I'm going to go back on over to zipForms. And so I'm going to say this is a purchase of a condominium, okay? I have to put the name of my client here, my favorite client and yours too, DB Bucks. That's right, Daddy Big Bucks is in town and he wants to buy a condo, right? So here I've got that there. There is the ability to apply templates, and I do use templates, you guys. We'll talk about how to create a template in a while. You know, I've got listing templates. I've got templates that are specific to me and Kristen for our listings. I have single-family residential purchases. I have, oh, this is an interesting one. I have condo and condominium. This is my separation. Condo is a building like an apartment-type building. Condominium is a CPR or vice versa. I'm not sure. And the specific language I want included in those purchase contracts, so when I apply that template, that language will automatically be included. I'll show you how to create a template in just a second, but I don't want to get too deep into that right now. So now I've got the information here. I'm going to put comments in here. DB finally pulled the trigger. All right, these are notes to self. And wants to buy this one. Right, these are notes to self, right? You can put any notes you want in here. Maybe while you've got them on the phone and you're starting the transaction, you say, "Hey, look, there's some things I need to get from you. You know, what's your full name, Daddy? What's your wife's name, Mary?" Right? So you can put this in here. You know, right? You know, I've got Daddy B Bucks and wife Mary Bucks, right? Right? Whatever you want to put in here, you can actually add notes to yourself so that you can deal with your transaction as smoothly and easily as possible. Once you've saved the transaction, it will open up this new transaction, and it looks like this. It's a brand new purchase contract. If you look up here in the upper left-hand corner, modified 2 minutes ago, has no transaction ID, no escrow number, no closing date, no retention date. Most of you have probably used this system, but I'm going to give you a couple of quick tips that I find very, very useful in managing transactions. By the way, when you're just doing 1 or 2 transactions, pretty much anybody can handle it. It gets a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but you can pretty much handle it. When you get 10 or 12 going at a time, you need to be organized. And so most of what I'm kind of throwing at you today are some organizational things. If you get in the habit of using them, they'll be very, very good for you. In this case, I'm going to represent the buyer, so I'm going to take the buyer representation contract. I'm going to add that, right? I'm going to go down and I'm going to add a purchase contract. All right. Probably most importantly, right, perhaps the most important thing that I'm going to add here is something called a cover sheet. And I like the cover sheet. Not everybody likes it, but I like it. When you fill things into the cover sheet, it will automatically fill into your transaction. I'm not going to go into great detail, but let's just take a look at the cover sheet. My boss looked at this and goes, "Where'd you get this from?" Right? It's a zipForms thing, right? Here's the Hawaii Realty Incorporated. It's a transaction cover sheet. I can put the buyer's name in here, right? Daddy B Bucks, right? I can put his address, any information that I want. Of course, once you've entered anything into the system, okay, it will always be there. Okay, so I can go back if I've done a lot of transactions for Daddy. He lives on 123 Aloha Street in Honolulu, let's say, right? I can just simply go down and find, oh, do I have Honolulu? Should have Honolulu somewhere. B, C, D. Okay, well, we'll say 123 Aloha Street somewhere else. How about, oh, there's Honolulu. Okay, and I can put a zip code in here. This is all hypothetical, of course. Right, state and zip. Right. And you'll notice 96814, all hypothetical, by the way. I just want to, I'll just do this one, right? And then if you want an X to appear on all your signature lines, you can check this box, okay? Okay. Buyer 2 information, Mary Bucks. Right? I can enter as much information as I want into this sheet. We go a little bit farther, you got a buyer 3 or a tenant, you got a seller and landlord 1 information. All the information that you want to put in here, you can. Okay. Now notice all this information with MLS numbers and all that information is not there. We're going to utilize a real quick shortcut here, right? So remember I said I was going to actually go and put in an offer on this property currently listed for sale at a price of $548,000, right? Nihikai Villas in the Poipu area of Kauai, okay? Well, rather than going through and hand typing the tax map key where I can make an error, and by the way, have people ever sold the wrong property? Yes, they have. And so things like tax map keys, particularly if you're a principal broker, need to be checked carefully, but as an agent, you should be checking those very, very closely as well. But I'm going to utilize a system within zipForms called MLS Connect, which is an absolutely amazing system. I'm going to go ahead and save this particular cover sheet now. And once again, you're going to want to put a lot of information in there. I'm going to go back to my transaction. Now I'm going to pop open the purchase contract. Here's my purchase contract, and I'm going to want to put in the name and information. Now remember, the first time you do this, you're going to have to type stuff. After that, you've got this little drop-down menu on the right-hand side. You know, once you've done it once, and all goes back to being able to do things quickly, right? I'm just going to put Eric Yama in here. He's the guy who reviews my contracts. Right? Boom. Right? And I can put the brokerage firm. I just go down until I find the one I want. Right? There it is. And the reference date, I get a calendar. Let's make this tomorrow. We're going to offer this tomorrow. And now I've got all this other information, including the property reference or address. In order to save time, I'm going to go up and I'm going to click this button that says zipForms MLS Connect. This is probably the biggest time saver that you can ever imagine. I'm going to simply click on that, and once I get to that MLS, if I am a member of more than one MLS within the state, because zipForms is provided by the Hawaii Association of Realtors, then I would have HIS, I would have the Honolulu Board of Realtors, I would have lots of others that I could have added to this list by calling Hawaii Association of Realtors. I only deal with property on Kauai, and so HIS is my MLS. Okay, but if I was a member of the Maui board, I can have the Maui board up here also. Here I want to take a listing type. I'm going to change this to condominium. All right. And then here's the MLS listing ID. I'm simply going to paste that number I stole off the MLS earlier, right? And then I'm going to say include the property photo, and then I'm going to click find. Wow. I've got a photo of the property, I've got the listing price, I've got the date, I've got the agent ID of the seller, I've got it's the selling agent, I've got all this information right there readily available, okay? I want to check this sheet carefully to make sure this is the right property, right? Once I'm sure that this is the correct property and that I haven't misentered a number, right? That's why I cut and paste, by the way. I'm going to simply click the import button. Now this is an interesting question. Do you want to replace existing data with imported data? If you reply no, data is only going to be imported into the blank fields. I'm going to click no, and the reason that you click no is if you're using a template, right, you don't necessarily want your templated specific language that you and your boss have agreed in should be in every condominium sale. You don't want that wiped out by something that zipForms has created. So you would click no, and then only blank fields will be filled in. So I'm going to click in no. Okay. Okay. All of that data has been successfully imported. Watch what happened. I've got the address of the property. Oh, it didn't put in my tax map key. It put the CPR here, but it didn't put the tax map key, and I don't know why. It should have done that. I don't understand why it didn't do that. Wow. I got to call zipForms today now. Okay, normally all that information is there, and it prevents having any errors. It has the CPR number, but it doesn't have the rest of it. Of course, what that would mean is I'd have to go in here and 428-1922, 428-1922. Let's go 428. So I'll just put it in here real quick. 428-1922-41. I don't know why that didn't fill out. Normally that fills out. It may just be this particular listing has an issue for some reason. But as we continue down here, there's still a lot of information that you'll need to fill out. You know, once again, one of the requests I've made is that things like seller representation are automatically included. Buyer representation, it should default to me, or in this case, Kristen, whoever's filling it out. Dual agency. But I'm not here to really tell you how to fill this out. You just want to make sure that who's she with? Remax. You know, that you put this in, right? So that it's right. Remember, if you're not sure. Oh, this is really interesting. When you have forms that aren't filled out, it will give you the best choice at the top. So here you can see the seller is Remax Kauai, right? They are a member of the National Association of Realtors. And then I go to the next one, and here you can see I can go up to the very top of this form, and it should have me up there. It doesn't, of course. I'll go down to Kauai Realty Incorporated. I'll put those guys in. And then, you know, dual agency. I'm a big fan of putting not applicable anywhere where there's any question. I like to fill in every form. Not everybody does that. All right. And then, of course, you can date the form. Once you date a form on the first page, it's dated throughout. Okay. Initial earnest money received from, and we should, you know, put the name of the buyer in here. You know, Daddy B Bucks. All right. All right. All of this information goes in. Now, that MLS, besides filling in the details about the other information, will fill in information about the seller and the buyer's agent at the bottom here. Here we can see the buyer's name is Daddy Buck, Big Bucks, and Mary Bucks, automatically filled in for us. We can date this, of course. We can put in a time if we know what time they're going to sign it. All right. All right. But we also have down here the name of the selling agent. Okay. So all that information is there. The buyer's agent, you can put in your own name with the information that you have. I actually do that. They have some issues there. My last name is Friedman, but that's all right. And then you can just put in the information. Okay, so lots of information here. Once you've filled it out once, remember you'll always be able to find information by clicking the drop-down menu of anything that you've ever entered previously. Okay, so big, big, big time saver. Okay. The other big time saver is templates. Okay, there's two ways to save templates. One is to simply go to templates and let me go over here. So I've saved this particular transaction. Here's all my templates that I've created, but I can just start a new template, right? Right. You can have it automatically apply to all transactions if you want. Right. You have a way to automatically apply it to only certain transactions by putting */* before the transaction. Right. You can decide, is this an agent template? If you're a principal broker, you can have it be an office template. right? Or you can have a global template. In this case, maybe I'm going to do a purchase for a condominium, right? Template, right? And then I can call this template something like condo, okay? And then I can save it. And then that will allow me to save whatever documents I want. And then I can open up the purchase contract, right? For example, purchase contract. And within the purchase contract, I can start to put some of the language that's important to me in here, right? Go up, and I'll just go into, maybe I want to put the description of property described as follows. Something like, all of that fee simple property known as unit, and then I, whole things is XXX of the XXX project, and how about including XXX parking stalls, and the pertinent percentage of common elements. Okay, just as an example. This is not the actual language we use, but right, together with and or, right, together with, and then of course if you have a question about spelling, you got to fix that. And pertinent percentage of common elements. Once you've saved whatever language you want in condos, right, you may decide that on all condos you want to make sure that there's an inventory list, right? You may decide that you want to have specific times that they do, right? To be provided by buyer within 5 days or whatever is your. By the way, if you hit the space bar, that allows you to type in anything you want into a field. Okay, so you can put whatever information you want in here, and once you have that particular template done, you simply just save it. Right? Now, in the future, when I start a transaction, right, go to transactions, and I'm just going to start a new transaction, right? I can simply apply a template, and I can just go down and grab condo, right? There's condo, right? And I can say it's a purchase contract for a condominium, right? And the name is I wanna be a buyer, okay? And so here's I want as property. Right, of course, I'm going to include the cover sheet and a couple of others, right? You can add checklists. You can say who has a right to utilize it. I'm simply going to save it. And now when I want to go into I want to be a buyer, the purchase contract is already there. If I have a buyer's representation sheet, it will already be there. If I have a cover sheet, it will already be there. That template will be there, right? And when I open it up, whatever language I've put in there is there already. Okay, so I don't have to deal with the description of the property. I simply go in all that fee simple property known as Unit 41 of the Nihilani project, including 2 uncovered. So it saves me time because I don't have to write this every time. So hopefully that's of some value to you all. That's really all I want to cover with zipForms, unless you guys have specific questions. Hopefully you guys have used it a little bit and that is beneficial to you. Um, any questions from any of you? Delane, Orland, John, or Samar? Just so you guys know, if I was utilizing the cover sheet, oh, I got a question here. A lot of that information would be filled out. Thanks, Samar. Okay, so we're all good. So learn zipForms. Before we go any farther here, of course, I'm going to back out of here so I don't upset my business partner who does so much work. She's in Florida right now. She's like, what the heck is that stuff? I'm going to do a couple of things. One is I'm going to go into templates. I'm going to go down to this do, right? I'm just going to delete that template. Am I sure I want to cancel, delete it? Yes. And I'm also going to go back one more time to the transactions. I'm going to delete a couple of transactions. Simply go in and delete these. By the way, I typically do not delete transactions, and there's a reason for that. I like to be able to go in and find information as I wrote it a long time ago. Of course, I can look at the actual completed and signed document, but I know that if I've done this, that information is there. Okay. So there are a number of other pieces of information within zipForms. I encourage you guys all to take as much as you can. Oh, show how you take your contract and send a client through DocuSign. Um, uh, I'm not as good at that as I should be. However, if I were to take a contract, this is actually a contract that's already been closed, so I can go in here and I can simply open this. It's not closed; it's in escrow. If I open this document and I go to this, I can simply go to the how do I do that? That's a good question. Electronic signature, e-sign right here. So when I click on e-sign, you create and send documents for signatures on an existing e-signature package to view data, right? You say create, right? You pick what you want to pick. Here we'll pick the cooperating broker separate agreement, right? Go to next. And then here's the name of the buyer and the seller, right? As long as I've got the selling brokerage, the listing brokerage, and the selling broker, I simply click those, and then I click done. When I click done, it will send the package. So I'm not going to send it, but you click done, it will send the package with the correct area set up. Does that answer your question, John? How come I don't see your question popping up here? Yes, okay, perfect. So, by the way, it will send mine through DocuSign, because somewhere when you first do that, and I can't tell you where, it will ask you which electronic signature system you want to use. I have a DocuSign account, so I'll say I want to do it through DocuSign. Other people may want to just use the free service, Digital Ink. Both are good systems. I just happen to know DocuSign better. I have a big thing about learning curves. Once I learn something, I just simply want to make sure that I stick with it. There have been cases where I get away from that, but for the most part, you know, if I find a system that's way better, like if I go in and look at the zipForms transaction management system and I find out that the free system is better than the one I'm paying for, I'm going to switch over, right? I just haven't had time to explore it yet, but you know, at some point, it's worth going in and exploring those things. If you want to know how realtors lose all their money, it's by nickels and dimes, okay? And by the way, John, I sent you a couple of quick thank yous. You need not reply to those. I'm just clearing your question mark icon off my side of the screen. Okay. So that's kind of it for zipForms. Unless anybody else has a specific question, I'll wait for 1 second before we move into the roster download. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close down zipForms since I'm not seeing any questions pop up. Let's talk a little bit about the roster download. I'm going to go ahead and create an email blast this morning, and I'm going to do that by utilizing Microsoft Office 2016 or Microsoft Office 365. So you guys have to ignore all of my emails from people. But I've opened up my my inbox here, and I'm not going to really worry about it now, except I got to. This is what you spend most of our time doing, is just getting rid of spam, right? But yeah, with that said, ooh, I don't know who that is, but we're going to go back, and as we look at all this information, I'm just going to leave Microsoft Outlook open. I want to make sure that I get all of this shut down with zipForms. And here we are, and I want to get back to research. And I want to start this process of downloading the roster. Before I go any further, I want to show you guys where you're going to get this information later. Okay, you can always come back and revisit this tape, of course, but absent that, or if you misplace the tape, or for some reason I can't get it sent out to you right, you can go to the help button up here in the upper right hand corner. Where's my arrow? People forget that we have this help button here. You click that, you'll get a knowledge database, and then here you go in and you just say, hey, roster download. All right. You search the roster download, and here's how to download a member roster list, right? Right. There's some other articles here, like download files explained. I'll go through that a little bit here, but if you click on this member downloading a roster download, you get this great screenshot thing that'll walk you through everything I'm about to do. Okay. What I want to emphasize that doesn't really get emphasized in this is that there are two separate processes going on here. One is downloading the roster from HIS, right, for your specific area, right, or the area that you want to hit. I keep Big Island and Kauai agents in my email book. That's because occasionally I have a great piece of property that I think, hey, you know what? Maybe somebody on the Big Island would be interested. I might send the Big Island agents a quick blast. I don't do it all the time, you guys. It has to be something that really stands out to me as being a value for the agents that I'm sending it to, right? Maybe I've got a commercial property, for example. People who buy commercial property, they're investors, either active or passive investors. And when you look to people that are looking for passive investments in particular, in other words, businesses that you invest money and they just make money, you might want to say, hey, great new commercial space available for the investor. Call me for details, currently under a 20-year lease, 3.14 million. I might send that out to you guys, right? So that if you have an investor, you say, hey, I know you've been looking at warehouses on the Big Island, but if you want, I've got an agent over on Kauai that has sent me some numbers on a great investment property on Kauai. So I want to make sure it's going to have some value to somebody. I'm not going to blast you a lot of my single-family residential property. My feeling is that there's an agent on the Big Island that says, hey, John, I got a client looking for property on the Big Island that's going to come in by way of a referral and not by an email blast. However, sending out the occasional Christmas card to other agents or anything like that is something that you can do. In fact, thinking about what day it is, it'd be a great thing for me to do today, just to send everybody that. So the two different things that you're really working on is, one, downloading a roster into a format that works for you. And this comes off of what we learned in last week's class, right? Using the custom formatting, right? The second thing is, once that file is downloaded, importing it into your email application. I'm an Outlook person, so we're going to show you how to do this in Outlook. But the process is very, very similar, with the exception of Outlook uses CSV files, comma separated value files. Some of the other major carriers I think almost every other CRM, whether it's Top Producer, Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, will take a CSV file. However, some people are more comfortable utilizing an Excel file. You have those choices on which type of file you want to use. Once again, when you have questions, simply go to the I told you that third one was coming. Sorry. Hopefully I got my hand over that quick enough. But make sure that you go into the help section if you have questions. So the way I'm going to download the roster is I'm simply going to go in and I'll do a Big Island roster today. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Microsoft Outlook and I'm going to go into my contacts down here at the bottom. And here you can see I've got a Big Island Realtor and a Hawaii Border Realtors. Let's go ahead and work on the Big Island Realtor today. Notice a couple of things. First of all, I've got my groups of all the Big Island Realtors set across the top. Although today is an example, I'm going to tell you that it's really, really important to download the roster for whatever area you work and update your roster sometime after the 1st of January, usually by the 20th or the end of the month of January. A lot of the realtors that are currently on this list are going to fall by the wayside, okay? Also, remember what I'm using this system for. It's for email blasts and for contacting realtors. I have a number of things that I do in my address cards. I want to make sure that I have the name of the company. I want to make sure I have the agent number. I want to make sure I have the where's my arrow? I've got the name of the agent, the company they work for, the agent ID number, the ID number of the company. I then have the work phone and the mobile phone. Why do I have the work phone? If I got to call somebody's broker and say, I don't know what's going on with your agent, but the inappropriate response to my buyer or whatever, right? Sometimes you got to call a broker. So I like to have the broker's number. Also, sometimes if you can't get a hold of the agent, right, because they're in a bad cell phone area or something like that, sometimes they're sitting in the office, right? So call them at work, right? And then I also have their email addresses, okay? In this case, watch this. I'm going to delete this whole folder, right? Okay, boom, gone. So before I don't know why I got that there. I don't know why that popped up. So now I don't have a Big Island folder anymore, right? So the first thing I'm going to do in Microsoft Outlook, and what you should do in Gmail or anywhere else, is I'm going to go to my file in Microsoft Outlook. I'd go to my file and, not file, somewhere else. Let me see where it is. I'm going to go to the folder button and I'm going to create a new folder. Okay, and it says, what am I going to call this new folder? And this is going to be Big Island Realtors. I date all of my folders so I know when I created the folder. So you can see on my Hawaii Border Realtors folder in the upper left-hand corner, I created that on October the 28th. This one, Big Island Realtors, put the year first, 2016, followed by the month, 12, followed by the day. Okay, that's a good convention to keep things ordered in a good hierarchy. Okay, so that's there, and then I got folder contains contact items. Where do I want it to be? I want it to be in my contact folder, so I just simply highlighted that. You see that? I just highlighted it. Okay, and then I'm going to say OK. Okay, now I want you to note it didn't show up right away. Okay, I got to close this down, reopen Microsoft Outlook. All right, and now go to the people folder, and there's my Big Island Realtors folder, and it is empty. So my goal today is to fill this folder and create email blast lists. The email blast list, the distribution lists are important because anytime you email more than 200 people the same message, it will go to their spam filter. So I try and make lists of 150 to 200 people for each of my distribution lists so that everybody gets my email, right? What good does it do for me to email John a great commercial opportunity when he's got a client that wants a great commercial opportunity if it ends up in his spam filter and he never sees it? It doesn't do me any good, so I want to try and keep that away. So the first thing I do is I fix Microsoft Outlook or your Gmail or your Yahoo account so it's ready to accept a new group of people. And I'm just going to simply close this down, minimize it for a little bit. Now I'm back in HIS. Remember, these are two separate things. And I'm going to go down to search. And in the search tab, I'm going to go search the roster. Now this may seem like it's much more difficult than it is, but you'll see here, I can simply go in and I can say, which agent realtor association do I want? Now, we have a number of different areas. We have the Hawaii Island Board, which covers everybody. Or if we just want the West Hawaii Kona Board, we can use the West Hawaii Kona Board, okay? But I'm going to use the Hawaiian Island Board, which covers both the West Hawaii and the Kona boards, okay? So, I mean, that covers the Hilo Board and the Kona Board, okay? So I'm going to use the Hawaii Island Board here, okay? So I've got that set, okay? That's what I'm looking for, Hawaiian Island Realtor Associations. Now, in the format, I can look at either doing just agents, the agent in the office, or custom. And we want to do a custom search, okay? So I'm going to go in, I'm going to simply click the select button. Now you can see that I have a preset selection here. And this is going back to last week's class where we talked about creating these custom formats, right? Okay, looks a little bit different in the roster, but it's still office info, it's still broken into 3 columns. Remember on when you do custom formats on the MLS, you have MLS data, public record data, and then your favorites. Here we have office data, agent data, and then favorites, okay? So here, let's take a look at what I've added. And to add these things, once again, let's go ahead and just remove some of these things. Let's remove them all. I'll just start with a blank slate. Okay, so you want to think about what it is that you want, right? So for me, I want a lot of information about the agent, right? So I'm just going to start typing agent, right? And from the agent list, I can pick whatever I want. Now, I've got my favorites all saved over here, right? But, you know, I can go in and I can say, okay, the most important thing is I need the agent full name. So I click agent full name. And then I also want the agent first name. And people always ask me about this, but I like to do it this way because if I do mail merges where it says, Dear John, look at this listing, right? Dear Earl Lynn, look at this listing. I want to be able to incorporate that first name via mail merge, okay? But I use the agent full name for display purposes, okay? Then, so I've got the agent full name, the agent first name. I definitely want the agent ID, right? So I can simply go down until I see agent ID right here. Now note that these are, excuse me, note that these agent ID here is an orange one, right? If I was looking for a selling agent, it's possible to do. It's a little bit more confusing, but there's the agent ID there, right? Then I've got the agent, oh, that's the agent ID, and then you see here I've got the agent office ID. I can get that from 2 different places. I can get it from the gray field here, office ID, or I can just use agent office ID, okay? In this case, I use the agent office ID, okay? Okay. Then I do want to use a couple of other things. I want to make sure that I have their cellular phone. Now, here's a quick note to the wise here. The Microsoft Outlook calls it a mobile phone. We call it a cellular phone, and you'll see why that's important in just a moment. Okay. So now I've got agent full name, agent first name, agent ID, agent office ID, agent cellular phone. I do want the office name, right? So I'm going to, by the way, is there one called agent office name here? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No. So I have to go over here and I have to get into office name here and click on office name. Right? Remember, if you click these more than once, you accidentally click them 3 times, just simply go in and remove the ones that you don't need. Right? So now I've got the agent full name, the agent first name, the agent ID, the agent office ID, the agent cellular phone number, and the office name. I think I've got everything I need, right? No. I must get the agent email address. Okay? If I don't have the agent email address in my favorites here, I'm just going to, of course, go in. I'm just going to say, okay, agent email, right? Here's my agent email address. Once I've got anything in this list, I can add it to my favorites by simply hitting the little heart, right? We went over this in last week's information, right? So now I've got all of these here. Now, some people will move these around in an order that makes sense to them, and I don't know how important that is in Yahoo or Gmail. For use in Outlook, it doesn't matter because we have to map the fields anyway. Okay, I'm assuming that you have to map fields in those two contact management systems, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't know that for a fact. So in this case, I don't really need to arrange these into an order that makes sense to me. I can if I want. And this is a pretty good one: agent full name, agent first name, agent ID, and I might, move the agent first name up above the first full name, agent ID, agent cellular phone, office name. I want the office name up. And once again, this is only if you need to rearrange these. You can do that by utilizing these up and down arrows, right? And somehow in here I moved the agent full name accidentally out of there. So I got first name, full name, office name, the agent ID, the agent office ID, agent cellular phone, and agent email address. That's all I want. Quick word: if you're using Microsoft Outlook, do not put in an agent fax number. Microsoft Outlook recognizes fax numbers as a separate contact, and it will cause you problems on your email blast. So you want to be careful about not using fax numbers for the purpose of creating an email blast list. Okay. Also, faxes have kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. Very few people use them anymore. In fact, I just canceled my 800 fax number, one of those monthly costs. It killed me by nickels and dimes because it's used so rarely that I just decided I would use the Office. I used to have a really nice system that would, PDF my faxes for me, and I'd pick them up on the computer. Now I just say, hey, if somebody has to fax something, they can send it to the office, and I'll just call the office. When they say, hey, you've got a fax, I'll say, great, can you scan that and send it over? I just don't receive faxes anymore. I can't even remember the last time I got a fax. It's been years. Okay, so I don't use them. So here we go, and once again, you don't want to use it in this list because it will recognize it as a separate contact if you're using Microsoft Outlook. So I've got my list there. I'm going to say, okay, apply the changes. I'm happy with everything that's there. I got all the information I need. Okay. And now in the format section, I need to very carefully go up, and I need to go to my options tab. And from the options tab, I'm going to take off the search recap, and I'm going to say, put this into download format. When I hit the download format, I get a secondary drop-down menu that gives me a choice of which type of format I want to use. Now, for those of you that took last week's class, you know that I primarily use the Excel format with active links, so if I put an MLSN number in there, my client can just simply click on the link and get there, right? But in this case, this is a contact management, and so I'm going to use a CSV file. Some of you may want to use Excel format without links, okay? You can actually use either Excel one because there are no active links in what we've just created, right? But you can use either of these Excel formats if you're downloading into Gmail or Yahoo or Top Producer, right? All of those, I believe, prefer a CSV file, so I'm going to use a CSV file, okay? Now I'm going to download that file, right, by simply clicking the Search Now button. And you see you get the little downloading thing up here. And down here, you've got a file called Download 8 CSV, okay? I'm going to open that file real quick. This is a comma separated values file. You can't really see everything because it's been truncated a little bit. But all that information is here, right? And you can see agent ID, agent office, the name of each client, right? I've got all that information there, right? So I can see who they're working for. I can just print this if I want, if I need this information on them. By the way, here's an error here. Every once in a while you get an error. Oh no, that's no phone number on Francis McCullen. I don't know why there's no phone number there. Maybe all the phone numbers are confidential. Okay. Possible data loss. So this says, you might lose some information. You won't, right? I'm going to go over and I'm going to simply save this whole file as, save as. And I'm going to go ahead and save this to my desktop. And I'm going to call this Big Island Realtors and and this is 2015 12/18. That was a year ago. I'm going to change this. I'm going to take out my CSV. That doesn't need to be there. 2016, right? 12/22. Okay. So now I've got a file, and I know when it was created. Okay, that's very important to me. Okay. Why? Because a bunch of these realtors are going to fall off this list, and you're going to get a bunch of new realtors that are going to pop on the list, okay, in the beginning of January, okay? So the next time I teach this class will be a really good updated list, okay? So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say save this file. It's in my desktop, and I'm just going to save it, okay? Comma separated values file. A quick note, if I go to my desktop real quick, I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently here. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go to Documents, and go to my desktop, and then I'm going to go down until I see that CSV file. So as we're looking at files here, it's important to note, you see this one that says John T here. This is an Excel file that I created for somebody, right? If I scroll down a little bit farther, then what I see is this Hawaii Realtors file here and the Hawaii Realtors file here, right? And these have a little A here with a comma, okay? And that indicates that that is a that little lowercase a with a comma, that this is a comma separated values file. And that's what I'm looking for, is a comma separated values file, right? So once again, I'm going to get back in here and I'm going to go up until I find the Big Island Realtors file that I just did. Here's Big Island Realtors. I might have to move my column here a little bit. Let's see if I can take a look at this. I just had it and disappeared. Move this over so I can see what I'm doing here. So here's my Big Island Realtors, and this is the one I want right here, right? So I can look at this file if I want, and there's the file exactly as we saved it. And that, I just want to know that it's there. Fantastic. So I'm going to close it, and I'm going to close my desktop. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to go back over to Outlook, and I'm in my contact list. And notice there's nothing here under Big Island Realtors. I definitely have, contacts, right? I definitely have my Hawaii Board of Realtors file, right? But now I'm back to my Big Island file, and I'm just going to stay here for a second, right? From my File menu, I'm going to go to an area that says Open and Export. In older versions of Outlook, it's called Import and Export, okay? So now I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to go in. I'm going to click Open and Export, okay? And here you can see, here is the import and export file. I'm going to click on the import and export file. Okay. Now, mine defaults here, but when you first do this, it may be on export an RSS feed to an OPML file. You want to make sure you're importing from another program or file. Okay. Importing from another program or file. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and say next. And I want to use a comma separated values file, okay? I also have a PST file here, but I want to use this comma separated values file. So I'm going to say next. This is a little tricky. I'm starting with a blank folder, so it doesn't really matter. But you want to make sure that you don't go to the default and allow duplicates to be created. Let me give you an example. Let's say that Earl Lynn is working for Century 21. I'm sorry, Earl Lynn, I don't know who you work for, but she's working for Century 21, and she decides to move to Clark Realty, right? If I allow duplicates to be created when I'm updating a file, okay? By the way, I like to clear mine completely out like I just did, because then I don't have old realtors that have dropped off the list, right? But if I'm just updating my file, and I update my file and I allow duplicates to be created, I'm going to get two listings for Earl Lynn. One that says she works at Century 21 with a Century 21 email, and one that says she works for Clark Realty with a Clark Realty email. And I'm going to say, God, I don't know where Earl Lynn works. Where does she work? So I always say replace duplicates with items imported. So if I move from Century 21 to Kauai Realty, no longer will it say Kauai Realty. It'll say, no longer will it say Century 21. Now it'll say I work for Kauai Realty, which will be correct. Okay. So I want to replace duplicates with items imported. The other thing that's important is you want to make sure you're putting in the right file. And if you look at this, this is a Kauai Board of Realtors file for 2016-1028. That is not the file I want to import. So I want to go in and I want to browse, right? And I want to go to my desktop. What is this? This is in my roster list here. I'm going to go to my desktop. And once again, I'm going to scroll down until I get to the Big Island file that makes sense for me. Right? There it is, Big Island Realtors, 2016-12-22. Right? And then I'm going to say, what type of file is it? It's a comma separated values file. That's perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Okay. Now it says, this is the file I'm going to use, right? It's in my desktop, and I just scroll over to make sure it's correct, 2016-12-22. I'm going to replace any duplicates with items imported. It doesn't really matter because I got a blank sheet, but that's what I would check if I was updating my folder. And then I'm going to click Next. Select a destination folder, okay? Now, it has, because this is the newest folder I created, and it's because it's where I'm at, it has selected Big Island Realtors 2016-12-22. Fantastic. Now I'm going to say Next. A lot of people get stuck here because why is the Next grayed out? Well, you have to check mark the box. It says Import Big Island Realtors CSV. And if you need to, you can actually go in here, but we know that this is going to go into the folder that we selected. I'm going to click it, and then a Map Custom Fields comes up. Okay, we'll come back to this in a second. I'm just going to close this out, right? But it says Map Custom Fields. This allows me to begin mapping fields. If the map does not open, then you can just simply say Map Custom Fields from this box. Okay, right here. So here I'm going to say Map Custom Fields, and now that box is open. Mapping fields is a very interesting endeavor. Let's start with looking at name. I'm going to take the agent full name and I'm going to put it in the name field. Now you'll notice here I've got a first name and middle name. So I'm going to take the agent first name, and if I accidentally put it over here in the name, right, there's no way for me to drag it back. I can't drag it back. So the only way to do it is to take it again from the left-hand side. Remember, the left-hand side is our CSV file. The right-hand side is where we want to put it in Microsoft Outlook, right? This is a comma-separated values file, and this is Microsoft Office, right? So if I want to take that first name and put it down under first name, I need to drag it into first name here, okay? And then I'll take full name, and I'll drag it over to full name, okay? Office name, I'm going to go down and I'm going to put them under company. Right? Now this is my way of doing it. Okay, I put the job title as the agent office ID. Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I put the job title as the agent ID, so I got to drag agent ID over there, replace it, right? And I put the department as the agent office ID. Okay. Now I've got the agent cellular phone number. Remember, this is called a mobile phone in Office. So I'm going to take the agent cellular phone and I'm going to drag that over into mobile phone. Okay. Once again, if I accidentally drag this into a wrong field, I simply go in and grab it again and drag it into the correct field, and it'll disappear from the incorrect field. Right? Now the email address is a little bit tricky. The last field that I need to import, I put everything else on the left-hand side into Microsoft Office Outlook. Right? Now I want to go in and I want to make sure that I've got the agent email address. So I'm going to go down until I get to email. You cannot just simply drag this over. It doesn't work. You have to open up this little box here, and where it says email address, you need to put that into email address. Okay. Once you've done that, you say OK, and it'll give you a little finish thing here. You go, OK, great, finish. And now it's going to import all these contacts into this folder that we're looking at. Boom, look at them pop up. here we have all of the realtors. Now you'll notice that Mr. Denker added his license number to his name. It's not the correct place to add it. It takes him out of alphabetical order. It's not a big deal, but I just want to throw that out at you. Everybody else is listed in alphabetical order, starting with Miss Anna, right, and followed by Ocasio Estrella, right? These are all alphabetical by last name, okay? What I want to do now is I want to create some new groups. So I'm going to simply go in, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, I want a new contact group, okay? And from this contact group, I want to say at, right? And then I'm going to say, once again, I'm looking to get 150 to 200 now. Microsoft Office will tell you if you go over 200, okay? But just from experience, I know what the heavy hitters are. So like B's and C's and D's are all really big, right? So I'm going to say at A, B, C, D, E, F. That's a pretty big list, but we'll try that one, okay? At A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm using that abrégé or the at sign so that all of my folders that are blast emails start at the top of my folder list, okay? I don't want them to be towards the bottom. I want them to be at the top. Okay, so here's at A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to say add members. You see that little member one there, right? I'm going to click add members. Okay. Ooh, what's going on? Oh, right here. I'm sorry, wrong one. Add members. Huh, right over here. Sorry. So I'm going to click on add members. And then it says, where do I want to get them from? From an address book, from a new email contact? Well, I'm going to get them from Outlook contacts. Now, notice here, this is the wrong address book, okay? This is my contacts list. I want to go into my Big Island Realtors list, okay? Now, looking back here, I started with A and ended with F, right? So I'm going to hold the Control-Shift key down. Well, first of all, I'm going to hold the Control-Shift key down, and then I'm just going to type G into my shortcut bar. Let's do it this way. I'll just scroll down on this one. And I'm going to scroll down until I see a G. Okay, and this is a big list, right? You can see how big this list is. Okay, these are big, heavy people here. So, oh, there's a G. So I'm starting with Miss Anna, and I'm ending with Frank Schenk. Oh, no, maybe it's not Miss Anna. These are going by first name here. And then I'm going to click the members button. Okay. Now there's all the realtors whose first names start with A to F in here, and I'm going to say OK. Now if I have over 200, it's going to tell me. Okay. It will tell me how many I have. Okay. So it'll say, hey, you've got over 200. Are you sure you want to save this list? So now I've got all of these folks in my list here. Okay. By the way, I could have moved in my mapping, I could have moved the full name or the first name into the email display list. Here I just have the email as the display, and that's in that email category, and I didn't do that. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to save and close this group. Okay, and there we see at A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Now this is just repetitive. I'm going to do this again, right? I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, create a new group. And as I look at my list over here, right, I'm going to say, okay, so I want to start with G. I'm going to say abrégé, or the at sign, at G. Oh, I got my caps lock on. G, H, I. J is heavy, K is heavy, L is heavy. Okay? So I'm going to do G, H, I, J, K, L, okay? Then I'm going to say add members from Outlook contacts. Once again, I got to make sure it's the right contact list. I'm going to go to Big Island Realtors. And then in my shortcut bar, I'm just going to type a G. It takes me to the first one, Gail Griffin. I hold my Control-Shift key down, okay? And I scroll down until I see an M. J. Here we go, K. Oh, there's an M, Marco Silva. Okay, so I'm just going to take the last person here, Lynn Nagata. Okay, and I'm going to add them as members. And then I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to save and close. And then once again, just to be repetitive here, oh God, I missed Greg Denker here somehow. Oh, I didn't miss him. He's coming up first because he's got a symbol here, a symbol followed by a number. I haven't missed him. I just haven't. So here's at GHIJKL, new contact group. Looking at that list, sometimes you got to pull this over to remember, right? You end with L, so this is going to be at MNOPQR. Okay, and then I'm going to say add members from contacts, get to the right contact list. I'm going to type in an M. I'm going to hold the Control-Shift key, and I'm going to go until I see an S. All right, LMNOPQRS. There's Russell Arakawa, the last guy here. Add those ones. Say OK. Now remember what I said about the average age. This keeps all of my contact lists up at the top. Okay. And you could break this into 4 or 5 realtors. That's fine. 4 or 5 different groups. I think 4 should be fine. Here I'm going to go into a new contact group. Look at where I ended. I ended with an R, so I want to start with an S. I'm going to add members. I want to add from the right address book, right? I'm going to type an S in here. I'm going to hit the Control-Shift key, and I'm going to go down until I see a T. Right, the QR. Oh, I'm going to, excuse me. Let me do this again. I've got MNOPQR, so I want to go in and say at STUVWXYZ. And now I'll add my members, Outlook Contacts, Big Island Realtors. All right, and then I'm going to say S. And I'll hold my Control-Shift key, and I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. And we'll end with Zeta and N. And I'll say add all those, and I say OK. Now I hit save and close. So now I have a full list of Big Island Realtors, and I have 4 specific groups for email blasts. Okay. Now I can go in and I can create an email blast. Okay. I'm simply going to go in. I'm going to minimize my Outlook. Okay. I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to what am I? Am I operating? No. I thought I was in Chrome. Oh, there we are. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. I'm going to say search for listings. All right. All right. And I can go in and I can just simply go to my dashboard. Maybe I want to promote one of my own listings. Go to my listings. Let's promote this Kuamo'o property here. I simply go in. I type on the MLS here. Maybe I want to say 286481. Go ahead and copy this. All right, copy. Then I'm simply going to go back, search for listings. Let's search for that MLS number. I'll search now. I'll go ahead and pull up a brochure. Here's all the information about the property, right, that I want in there. Right. It's got all this nice stuff there. For some reason, my headshot's not showing. I don't know why that is, but I've got that there. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to simply say, copy the page. I can go in customer format. What happens if I put this in customer format? Yeah, there it is. Now I'm going to say copy the page. All right, to copy the page, there's instructions at the top. Hit Control-A, Control-C. So Control-A. Oh, hasn't loaded yet. Hold on just one second. I got to wait for it to finish loading. Control-A. Hey, the heck. See if I can do this again. Control-A, Control-C, The page has now been copied. Now I go back to Microsoft Outlook. I'm going to go into my email, right? And then I'm going to simply go in, I'm going to start a new email. And from my new email, I say, you know, hey, how about Merry, how about Happy Holidays? Happy Holidays, Big Island Realtors. May the season find you surrounded by friends and family. Period. If you want a great gift, please know that this fabulous Kauai property will provide a $15,000 bonus to the buyer's brokerage as an agent bonus at the close of escrow. All right. We would love to have your help selling this one. All right. And then I can go a little bit further and I can say insert word art. And then I just type in here, you know, 10.8 acres zoned R-2, which means 2 homes per acre. All right. And once I've got that in there, I can simply go in and make sure I got enough room here to do this, hopefully. Oh, exactly what I didn't want to do here. Let's see if I can get the... All right, once I do that, I can simply go in and where's my paste? And I can paste the brochure here. All right. Now, I do have a business relationship with all the Big Island Realtors, right? Because here's the home, here's some information about it, here's my stuff. But I may want to add an opt-out note. In order to do an opt-out note, you simply go in at the bottom of this form. I'm going to write, if you would like, no, if you no longer wish to receive this type of solicitation, click here. Okay, now what I do want to do is I want to make that very clear that I'm complying with the CAN Spam Act, right? I'm going to take this, I'm going to center it I'm going to make it large, maybe a 16. I'll make it red, right? And now I've got that there, and I'm going to right click in here, and I'm going to say, oh, it doesn't, it's kind of in the wrong area here. That's what the problem is. I got to get this out of the box. See if I can do this another way. Let me get this down a little bit lower. I'm going to have to move it down here a little bit lower. Let's see if I can get this down. There it is. Now let me try and center it. And, ooh, it's still in the box. How come? Looks like it's out of that box. I don't understand why I'm having problems with that. I should be able to just simply add a hyperlink here. Let's just go to Insert. We'll go to Insert Hyperlink. When I insert hyperlink, you'll notice when I click that Insert a Hyperlink, I have a couple of options. I can enter a file or a web page. I can place it in the document. I can create a new match, or I can put an email address here. So I'm going to put an email address in there. And then I'm going to put my email address. Right? And then in the subject, I'm going to put unsubscribe me, please. And that way I'll know exactly what this is about. I just have to click on it. Okay. And then I'm going to say OK. Okay, I'll remove all of these extra. So now I've got this here. All right. By the way, if somebody clicks on this, when they get the email, notice it comes immediately to me and it says unsubscribe me please, and then I'll see who it's coming from. A couple of other quick notes about sending this type of thing out. When I go to 2, I'm simply going to go down and I'm going to go to my Big Island Realtors, right? And then I'm going to take the first list here, A, B, C, D, E, right? F. I'm going to say, now do I want it there? No, I want this in the BCC line. Okay, very important, BCC line. And then I actually have a field called undisclosed recipients, but you know, you can set it anywhere you want. Okay, let me put this to undisclosed recipients. All right, let's say okay. Oh, excuse me. Let's do that again. To undisclosed recipients. All right, and then I say okay. Don't be sending out your big email list to other people, right? Because somebody else will get a hold of it, and pretty soon you'll have, you know, somebody from American Savings or First Hawaiian Bank or somebody else that shouldn't really have a hold of our list emailing people, right? And the subject is Kauai property offering huge bonus for accepted offer that closes, right? Right? So I can put that in the subject line, and now it's ready to go. And then I simply say, Happy Holidays, Big Island Realtors. May the season find you. And maybe, you know, maybe I want to put a little more stuff over here. All right, let me just go in and enter a little bit more word art. Oh, word art. And then we go in, and once you've got it the way you want, you can simply click the send button, and poof, it's gone. Okay, so we'll see that come back in a second. So any questions about that process? I know it's complicated. Delane, Erlyn, John, Samar, how you guys doing? just so you know, the way I would handle it thereafter is I'd simply go to my sent items. I'd find them. Hey, where's the thing I just sent? It hasn't shown up yet. Let me just click my send and receive here. Oh, there, probably just came in. There's my undisclosed recipients, right? And open that up. There it is. Happy holidays, Big Island Realtors, right? And here's the BCC column. None of those people will see that. Here I am. Here's my opt-out, complying with the Can-Spam Act, right? Somebody wants to opt out. They simply click on that line there. Here's all of this information. I've sent it to all of these realtors, and now they know that there's a $15,000 bonus to the buyer's brokerage. Maybe I'll get a call. Or maybe they just say, hey, opt out. Boom, right? If I wanted to resend this, I'd simply go to File, and I would just say, resend this message, right? Boom, resend it, here it comes. And this time I'm going to take out everything in here. I'm just going to go through, and I'm just going to get up in here, and I'm just going to say, delete, 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 right? Until all these are gone. It's taking a while, but all of these should just disappear. Should be able to delete them all very quickly. Not making it as easy as it used to be. But you should be able to delete all those, and then I would just simply send it to the next group. Okay, so very, very simple to do. And I'm not sure why I'm having such a problem highlighting all those. I think I have to, maybe I have to click this, and then once I've got that, click Control Shift, and then go down to the bottom. Once they're all there, once they're all highlighted, then just say delete, and then I just add the next one, right? I've already sent it to the Big Island Realtors first list, and I go back to Big Island Realtors, and I send it to the second list. Very simple, right? And continue on, right? Let me do that again. Big Island Realtors, and I send it to the second list, BCC, and I say okay. And there it goes again. So that's a quick way to do an email blast. No questions. We'll get out of here and we'll continue on. Okay. Do remember the Can-Spam Act is a requirement when sending to non-affiliated people. You must give people the opportunity to opt out. You are responsible for maintaining your own opt-out information. Okay. Last, let's see, we don't have a whole lot of time here. We want to talk about creating some downloadable Excel spreadsheets based on the formatting that we learned in earlier week's class. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to go into the research system here. I'll do a quick example for you. Let's go in, and I will do a quick search of sold properties here. Go back. Let's go search for listings. I'm going to clear everything that I have in here. I'm going to look in tax key 4-5-4. I'm going to look for sold properties, right, that have sold in the last year, right, sold date 1/1/2015, right, right there, and we're going to today's date. I'm only putting sold since then. Tax key 4-5-4, status is sold. I'm going to go into my format section. For those of you that, these are all of our saved formats that we did, right? So let's take a look at some of that information that we can get. I'm going to, in this case, use a sales price to assess value. One here. I'm using, once again, want to make sure that I'm in that custom format. And I've selected the formats that I want. We covered that in the last class. For those of you that are not clear on where we're at, I would encourage you to send me an email, and I can send you a copy of that video. Now that I've got that, if I search these now, I simply get a nice little thing here: the date it sold, the sold price, the assessed value, the land area. Right? I'm looking for all kinds of property here. There's quite a few. As a matter of fact, if I count them, 249 properties. We might want to modify this, and maybe we just have a client who's looking at a residential property. If we count now, we'll see that we have 85 properties, residential properties sold in Princeville. And somebody says to you, what's the average sales price to assess value on in the Princeville area now? Okay, in order to do that, I'm going to simply go up to my format. I've got my custom format set. I'm going to go into my options, and I'm going to say, let's download this information into an Excel spreadsheet with active links. Okay. Now I can decide if I want to use a customer format or not. If I was going to send this to my client, I would probably want to use a customer format. So I'm going to go into my formats here, saved, labels, options. Oh, how come it doesn't give me the option of, oh, there it is, customer format. Okay, take this off. I want to be in download format, right? Excel format with links. Okay, and now I'm going to say, okay, let's search now. Okay. This now downloaded. I'm going to simply take it and I'm going to open the Excel spreadsheet. I do get a warning because we try to be backwards adaptable. That's not the correct word, but backwards compatible. So we have an older version of Excel that we're using rather than the newest version, and that's so that you can run it on older versions. So do I want to open it anyway? Yes. Here's my quick spreadsheet, and then I don't teach Excel, but you can see the value here. They can click on the MLS for any one of these properties if they want to see what it is. In this case, I want to do a sold price to assess value compilation, so I'm simply going to click on the K column here, and I'm going to say insert a new column. And up here in the header, I'm going to put, sold price divided by assessed value. Okay. Somebody says, what's the average sales price to assess value? Then I'm probably going to want to run down here and I want to do a whole bunch of averages. I'm going to go ahead and just write down in here, I'll just say, average. Right? Average is, right? Then I'll go down here and I simply say, formula, auto sum, give me an average, enter, formula, auto sum, give me an average, enter, formula, average, right, enter. So now I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's go down, let's talk about, what is this? That's land area, I guess, average land area. All right, we'll just go in file, excuse me, auto sum, average, right, enter, right, auto sum, average, enter, number of bedrooms, all right, do an average here, enter, okay. Now I can see that the average property is 2,376 with about 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. Average price per square foot, $548.89, right? My client wants information. I'm going to give him information. Then I'm going to go up to my sold price to assess value. I'm going to use a thing called IM divide. And here I'm going to divide the sales price by the assessed value. That's H2. Let me open that back up. That's going to be H2, trying to grab my arrow here, H2, oh, excuse me, I2 divided by J2, right? I2 divided by J2. So over here, I'm just going to put I2, tab, J2, right? That property sold for 95% of its assessed value. I'm going to say OK. I would probably change this into a percentage. I'm not going to do that right this second. I'll just open this up a little bit so you can see what it is here. A quick way to duplicate that formula. Once again, I don't like to teach Excel, but I'll just grab that corner and just drag that all the way down, right, until I get to the averages here. Boom. The average piece of property in Princeville, average residential property in Princeville, sold for 105% of the assessed value. Okay. Why is that important? Well, if I go back over here and I got Daddy Big Bucks in town, and let's see if we got a property here that's in Princeville. Here's a Princeville, oh, that's a condominium. Here's Queen Emma Drive, number 47, contingent, 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, asking price $1,495,000. Let's check what the this is valued at $1,084,800. I can simply pull up my calculator, say 1,084,800 times 1.05. If this property were to sell for the current sales price to assessed value, it would sell for $1,139,190. Ooh, got too many zeros in there. Hold on a second, did something wrong. Let's clear that. Try that again. 1,084,800, right? 800 times 1.05 equals, there it is, $1,139,040. So maybe my client says, okay, I'll put in an offer of $1,140,000. Okay, so that gives me an idea of give my client a way in which they can do that. Once again, very simple process. If they're looking at things that sold at really high levels, look at this one that sold at 200% of the assessed value. It was assessed at 920, sold for 185, 1.85. What is that property? They can click on the MLS and it'll take it directly to them. So you can provide these types of sheets directly to them. If they want to look at photos, they can simply go in and click at the photos and they see exactly what the property has to offer. Beautiful Bali High views, a swimming pool, lots and lots of stuff that kick the price up. We are 3 minutes past the hour, you guys. I've got time, but I just want to make sure that I'm not holding any of you up. Do I have any questions from any of you? Anything about any of those processes we went through today? zipForms, downloading the roster, any of that information? I will stop the recording here in just a second. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and stop it now, just so that it doesn't get